Running or owning a business is no easy task. You work long hours to make a profit. But if the store gets cited for selling alcohol to minors, you'll quickly drain those profits in fines, court costs, and bad press. One of the best ways to avoid the costs and grief associated with underage alcohol sales is to establish practices and procedures that are clear, thorough, and easy to follow. Having procedures in place for the sale of alcohol is just as important as the procedures you probably already have for opening and closing your store, handling receipts, or security issues. Research shows that stores with simple practices and procedures in place help reduce their risk of liability. And that means more of those hard-earned dollars go into your pocket and not into the legal system. Effective store policies and procedures don't have to be complicated. In fact, they can be very simple. The key is the consistent implementation of the store's policies and training for all your employees. Effective policies and procedures include hiring procedures, responsible alcohol service training and retraining, employee incentive and disincentive programs, point of sale practices, types of IDs your store accepts, keeping a written log, the use of video camera and lighting, the use of checkout scanners and electronic age verification devices, and internal compliance checks. Let's briefly cover these various policies and procedures. Hiring the right people can be difficult. Here are some things to keep in mind when hiring people that will be involved in selling alcohol. Always hire people at least 18, and 21 if at all possible. Explain consequences of selling to minors. Let applicants know the consequences of selling to either a minor or intoxicated person, both your store's policy and the legal penalties in your state. Inform applicants that they will be trained, supported, and monitored by store supervisors regarding the sale of alcohol. And lastly, always give new hires all store policies in writing. Make sure they read and understand them. And for your protection, have all employees sign a statement that indicates that they have reviewed the store's policies and understand them. Place the signed statement in their employee file. Once an employee is hired, responsible alcohol sales training should occur within 5 days of hire. This training should include current state laws and practice related to the sale of alcohol, including the consequences of violating these laws, the various types of IDs your state accepts for alcohol purchases, and the procedures for checking these IDs. Employees should also know their rights and responsibilities regarding the sale of alcohol. Always give clear directions to employees on when to ask for help or extra support from a supervisor. Show employees how to document any sale that was turned down or other unusual situation. Finally, pre- and post-test employees regarding this information and keep the tests in their personnel file. We've talked quite a bit about new employees, but what about employees that have been with you for a while? Well, it's a good practice to continue to retrain all employees regarding responsible alcohol sales. You might do this on a quarterly basis, after compliance checks, or anytime you feel the need to. As part of your training and retraining practices, you might consider employee incentive and disincentive programs. These programs can help you reinforce your store's practices regarding the sale of alcohol. For example, after a successful compliance check, you might hand out movie passes, bonuses, or even a day off with pay. If your store fails a compliance check, the result may be retraining for the entire staff, suspension without pay, or even termination. Always inform employees of these programs ahead of time. Where and how you sell alcohol is just as important as training employees. Point of sale practices include a variety of things to consider. The location of alcohol in the store. Is it away from exits, in plain view of employees, or behind the counter, away from easy customer access? Keep in mind how much alcohol is stored warm and how much is available cold. Also remember that single sales and iced beverages in coolers increase the risk of people drinking and driving. Take a good look in and around your store. Is your alcohol advertising appropriate to all ages and gender? How much alcohol signage is there compared to other products? Where's it placed? Then go outside your store. Do you only promote alcoholic beverages with your signage? Always look at your business through the eyes of the community. Some signage you definitely want to display are those that support your employees in their efforts to responsibly sell alcohol. This signage can assist your training efforts. It might include messages that your store accurately checks IDs. Display these signs where customers will see them, on the front of the cash registers, on countertops, on cooler doors, and hanging above aisles. This type of signage not only discourages potential underage buyers, but sends a positive message to the community that you do not support the sale or use of alcohol by minors. Properly checking IDs is extremely important in stopping the underage sale of alcohol. Clearly communicate to employees what types of ID your store accepts. Also, be clear about who needs to be carded. A standard policy that many stores use is asking ID from everyone that looks under 30 years of age. You need to define what your policy is and consistently reinforce it. With time, it will become a habit for your employees and an expectation from your customers. Employees should also be instructed to briefly document any sale that they refuse or any other suspicious activity. A logbook kept under the counter makes it easy for employees to jot down information before they forget. Some of the things they might record are a suspicious ID, an intoxicated individual, or potential second-party sales. Let employees know that any and all of these things should be reported to their supervisor or manager. If an employee ever feels threatened by a customer, they should call the police. Video cameras and good lighting not only cut down on the potential for theft, but also discourage minors from attempting to buy alcohol. Some areas to consider using additional lighting or video cameras are at entrances and exits, the parking areas, and especially by the counter area. Now, if you do use video cameras, place a sign near the counter informing your customers they are being videotaped for security reasons. Review the tapes frequently as part of your employee training program. These reviews can reinforce as well as teach appropriate procedures. If your store uses electronic scanners or electronic age verification devices, make sure clerks do not have the ability to override the system. Studies show that these devices only work to reduce sales to minors if the clerk requires ID from the customer. As a supervisor or manager, you will need to monitor these systems and implement your own incentive or disincentive program. Again, these devices will only help when your employees ask for the ID. One final suggestion. You don't need to wait for your local law enforcement to do a compliance check. You can set up your own internal compliance check, also known as secret shopper programs. This is an ideal way to monitor your employees and stress the importance of not selling to minors. You may even want to work with other retailers to set up a secret shopper program. They should be done about every 2 months on different days and during different times. The check should be done with a person of legal age, 21, to test whether ID is being requested. The store should then be notified immediately of their success or failure. Make sure you have an action plan ready for an employee that fails to ask for ID. Running a business can be hard work, but there's also a lot of pride that goes along with establishing a friendly, successful store. By having effective store policies and procedures in place, you can help ensure your store not only maintains its great reputation, but a solid cash flow as well. It doesn't have to be complicated, just consistent. The topics to cover in any solid, responsible alcohol sales program are hiring procedures, responsible alcohol service training and retraining, employee incentive and disincentive programs, point of sale practices, types of IDs your store accepts, keeping a written log, the use of video camera and lighting, the use of checkout scanners and electronic age verification devices, and internal compliance checks. Remember, as a manager, supervisor, or owner of a business that sells alcohol, your risk and liability rests on your weakest employee during the busiest time of each day. Establish and consistently use an alcohol practice and procedure plan. It's not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing.